Well, let's go back to even a deeper problem. That's the probabilistic problem of evil. Why
Yes.
is that even more difficult?
Well, because the conclusion is more modest, it is easier to prove when you make a more modest claim. So this problem says, all right, it's logically possible that God and evil coexist, but still it's highly improbable. Given the depth and the extent of the suffering in the world, it's improbable that there is an all-powerful and all-loving God.
All right, Bill, you say there are three main reasons why it is not improbable that God exists, even when there is evil and suffering in the world.
Yes, I think that the atheist still cannot bear the burden of proof of showing that the evil and suffering in the world make God's existence improbable. The first reason he can't do this is because we're just not in a good position to assess with any confidence the probability that God lacks morally sufficient reasons for the evils that we see in the world. As finite persons, we are limited in intelligence, in insight, in space and time. And it may well be that God's reasons for permitting the evil and suffering in the world might not emerge within our finite frame of reference. God is an infinite God who sees the end of history from the beginning and orders events toward his previsioned ends. And it might well be that the reasons that God has for allowing evil and suffering to enter our limited frame of reference may not emerge in history until hundreds of years from now, maybe in another country. Every event that occurs in human history, no matter how trivial, sends a kind of ripple effect through history that has completely unforeseen consequences for those who are limited in time and space. To give an illustration of this, in a rapidly developing field of modern science called chaos theory, scientists have shown that even an event so trivial as the fluttering of a butterfly's wings sitting on a twig in the jungles of Africa can set in motion forces which will eventually cause a hurricane over the Atlantic Ocean. And yet no one observing that little butterfly can even in principle predict such an outcome. Now similarly, the brutal murder of an innocent man or a child's dying of leukemia sends a ripple effect through history so that God's morally sufficient reasons for allowing this to occur may never emerge within our lifetime and may be so complex that we could never in principle predict such an outcome. So when you contemplate God's providence over the whole of human history and his directing a world of free persons toward his previsioned ends, I think you can see it really is quite hopeless for us to be able to say with any kind of confidence that it is improbable that God has morally sufficient reasons for permitting this or that evil that we observe to occur.